Which is better, NXT or NXT 2.0? What a difficult question to be asked, and it all depends really what you want to take from watching an NXT show. Are you looking for the 5-star classics? Are you looking for the NXT takeovers of what you've got of the NXT of old? Are you looking for indie stars to come in and make your show better? Or are you looking for NXT to build stars from the ground up? Superstars that are meant to go from NXT to Raw and SmackDown to headline a WrestleMania. Have enough of them happen from NXT 1 to 2. Do we prefer longer matches? Do we prefer squash matches? What is the style that works better? Do we prefer black and gold? Or do you prefer unicorns and rainbows? It all depends really what you're kind of looking to take out from the show. Now, for myself personally, from a TV viewing experience, both have their benefits. I enjoy both, but it's what I want to take out of it. And this is why I kind of feel that WWE, in my opinion, should have looked to do something different if they were going to go with this NXT 2.0, because NXT itself had become a brand. Now, what the brand was meant to represent, I would argue wasn't necessarily working. It was great as working in like an indie promotion, almost like a Ring of Honor style thing, small arenas giving us great matches with the top indie talent in the world, but it wasn't giving people that Vince McMahon wanted to make headliners for Raw and SmackDown and then future main events for a WrestleMania. There wasn't the same sort of characters given out. It was more focused on in-ring wrestling than it was necessarily on story. The old style of NXT was more simple but effective style booking, where it feels like with Vince McMahon of what he wants to do with Raw and SmackDown, wants to have bigger, more out there characters with wild sort of storylines that you could get on a Raw and a SmackDown. So that's where I think they've kind of disconnected with NXT, because it hasn't built up the stars that they wanted, even though in many people's opinions the wrestlers they've been given have been definitely good enough to have as a Raw and SmackDown competitor, and perhaps were over enough in NXT that they were hopefully should have been pushed the same and maybe could have had a shot at getting that WrestleMania spot. That wasn't necessarily what Vince McMahon wanted, and it's not what we've gained. If you look at your champions that have been getting over the most, they're all from the early days of NXT. How many from the last sort of 5-6 years have gone to Raw and SmackDown and become a big time deal? I haven't really seen much of it. We're still relying on Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, who were called up in 2012, the very early style of NXT. Big E was the second ever NXT champion. Yes, it's taken nearly 10 years for him to become a champion, but we're relying on those people right now rather than people that have been called up in recent terms. In fact, most of them that have been called up recently, I mean, you look at Keith Lee's and Karrion Kross's, the most recent champions, Adam Cole, they're not with the company anymore. They're all well, 2 of them have been released this week, and one of them is Elsewhere, who is your longest reigning NXT champion of all time. If you look on the women's side of things, we're still relying on the 4 horsewomen, which, let's be fair, 3 of them got called up in 2015, the other one in 2016. Since, yes, women get called up, but they're not pushed to the same degree. Bianca Belair is probably one of the few that has stood out amongst that over time. You could argue Asuka as well, but that's still going back nearly 5 years. So what does WWE do? And for me, that's why I argue is this new NXT better, because it clearly has more of Vince McMahon's fingerprints over it to book these sort of younger, fresher stars, because we've not got people that are coming in that are 15, 20-year veterans to NXT that are going to put on great matches, but their shelf life as well, coming to Raw SmackDown, won't be as long as if you sort of bring in someone that's in their mid-20s. It's something that's an argument made with AEW. You've got that sort of the pillars of the future with the MJF, the Darby Allin, the Jungle Boys, the Sammy Guevaras. Those people have got 15, 20 years to build themselves, get to be top main eventers, become global stars, hopefully in and amongst that company, where with NXT, now we're seeing these young stars coming through, given opportunity much earlier, and we've got these, crazy all over the place characters as well, and characters stand out. Let's be fair, you remember a character much more, and it gives you a lot more creativity of what to do with a character in amongst WWE storytelling. If you have someone that's just got their name and they're great in ring, that's fantastic. But let's take a Tony D'Angelo, for example, the Italian mobster we've got in NXT. All of a sudden, these fun little skits we're seeing with someone in a car boot, or coming on to Lash Legend and the producer's been beaten up by him and obviously knows all about his family and stuff like that. There's a lot of fun that you can have with that, and that kind of can transition onto Raw and SmackDown. Those characters can really get over in the long run. So it all depends what you're looking to get out from it. So which is better? And to give my opinion of what I think is better, if you're going from an overall television product, I would say that I enjoyed NXT 1, a lot more for its in-ring stuff, and of course when you look at the Gargano versus Ciampa programs and stuff like that, the Undisputed Era, enjoyed all of that so much. But when you look at what NXT was supposed to represent, which is, you know, building stars for the future WrestleMania main eventers, potentially they're going to find that in amongst this. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to fall by the wayside as well, just like the last NXT. It's not going to work out for everybody. But if you look at sort of like the Tony D'Angelo's, the Bron Breakkers, you know, people that can stand out, and Von Wagner, even though the name is terrible, the in-ring performance he had with his NXT Championship match that he had on his debut and how he's done since has been pretty solid. So I look and say that they have got potential stars for the future. So I think when you look at this, it's still too early really to tell. I think we're going to need a good couple of years to say which is actually better. And if they do produce stars that can go onto the main events of WrestleManias and stuff like that, we can turn around and say NXT 2.0 is better. I think for character development and what they're looking for in NXT, I think in time it will prove to be better. What I will say is with NXT, the other NXT, what it was, I did enjoy that a lot more because of the wrestling style of it. I felt myself I was gripped to what they were doing each and every week with, you know, Triple H's vision and style of programming. It just didn't transition each time someone was called up to Raw or SmackDown, because then they were in the hands of Vince McMahon and they weren't what Vince wanted. If it had been my personal opinion, I think NXT should have stayed as it was, and we should have had this NXT 2.0 as NXT Evolve. I think that could have been the way to do it. They purchased Evolve, and I think that's how we could have kept both, and it could have satisfied everybody's needs, because then that way you can take people from Evolve, perhaps put them into NXT if you want, or those people get hot shot to an NXT Raw or SmackDown. It becomes like the big three from that point. But it's impossible to answer which one is better, but for myself personally at this point, I still prefer NXT 1. There was some stuff I thought I couldn't miss off of that, where with squash matches here, I think sometimes bits are skippable and not every character connects. But the thing is though, they're taking chances with this NXT 2.0, and that's what I think is what's really good about it, because some things are going to hit, and when they hit with these characters, they're going to hit big. Well, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below right now. I cannot wait to interact with you. And if you enjoyed this video, then why not like, share with a friend, and also subscribe. Hit the bell as well, turn the notifications to all, so you know each and every time a video is released. Big thank you to Wrestling by Wooldridge, who asked this question to me. This is a part of my latest AskSCW Q&A series. Why not go check out that full video for yourself right now? It's coming up on your screen, and as well as that, you've got other videos you can select to view right now. Take care, thank you for watching, have yourselves a great day. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube. All the best.